Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laken and I am here to help you achieve your personal goals, and we are going to do that by kicking off this new year. I cannot believe it is time to say that, with a series about momentum. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the new year. I don't need help with that. I've got all the motivation in the world, and I know that you do. I know you do. And I'm gonna be the one to break the bad news that motivation is not going to last. That is what is such a bummer about motivation, is that it comes on so quickly and it is sparked by a new year, a new job, a nice day outside, a new month, a new week, and then it fades, and it fades so quickly. And so we can't rely on it. In order for us to make this the best year that we can make it and actually achieve our goals this year, we need to focus on momentum instead of motivation. So over the next 3 videos, I'm gonna bring you 3 short but packed with information videos all about momentum and how to make sure that you are starting momentum, keeping momentum, and then restarting it when you need to. Can you guess what the 3 videos are gonna be about? This video we're gonna start with is all about starting that momentum or kicking off that momentum. Now, before we get into the actual how and the nitty-gritty, I wanna start with a definition. What actually is momentum? What is the definition of momentum? Well, according to the dictionary, momentum is a noun, and the definition is strength or force gained by a motion or series of events. Let's break that down a little bit as it pertains to goals. Basically, what momentum is a strength or force. So it is you building your strength, your force, your ability to achieve your goals. You are building that strength so that your goals get done, so that your goals get easier, so that you get better. That is what you are doing when you create goal momentum. And it says by a motion or a series of events. So how are we creating that strength, that momentum? With action. Action is how you create momentum. That is gonna be the summary. That is the important piece of this. Action is what makes our goals easier. Action is what makes our goals possible. Action is what keeps your momentum going. I want you to think back to high school physics. Maybe you took physics, maybe you took AP physics. Maybe I only took AP physics so we could go to 6 Flags at the end of the semester. But at some point in school, you probably learned Isaac Newton's famous law of motion. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. That is what we're trying to do when we work on our goals. Now, don't get me wrong, you need to factor in rest, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the video about keeping momentum, but an object in motion stays in motion, which means when you continue to work on your goals and you keep that momentum going, you stay in motion, you stay in momentum. The last part of it, though, that somehow always gets left off, is unless acted upon by an outside force. Guess what? When it comes to goals, that outside force that acts upon you is life. Life happens. You are going to have outside forces impact you and your goals literally every minute of every day. What we are working on when we're working on our momentum is building up that strength. So when those outside forces act upon you, as long as they're minimal or just everyday outside forces, you keep going, and you have the tools and the skills, the strength and momentum to keep going and keep making progress on your goals. Now, there are always going to be times when that outside force is so big that it completely knocks you off, and that is why one whole video is dedicated to restarting your momentum. But what we want to work on, what I want to teach you, is continuing that strength and that momentum so that when those little outside forces called life happen every day, you keep going and you keep making progress. Because the stronger you are and the stronger your momentum is, the less of an impact those little outside forces are going to have. I'm not expecting us to work on our goals in a vacuum. That's not how life works. It is not this beautiful, perfect scenario where everything is gonna go your way and your energy levels are gonna be perfect every single day. That's not life. So we are gonna focus on building that momentum so that you can handle it when those outside forces happen. So the first thing we've gotta do is to just start. Now, I know that's way easier said than done, but like we talked about with the definition of momentum, the way that you build that momentum is through action. The best way to just start or to just take action is to start really small. And I know you've probably heard me say that before, and you probably hate hearing me say it. You're like, Laken, I'm sick of you telling me to make my steps smaller. I'm sick of you telling me to take small steps. I don't want to take small steps. I want to take big steps. I want to make big changes and see big impacts. But I'm here to tell you that when you try to take those big giant leaps, it may last a day, a week, heck, maybe it'll even last you through the end of January. But what happens is when you take those big giant leaps and you make those big changes, you are way more likely to stop and to not follow through. So what I want you to do instead is to take those steps and make them incredibly small. Now I can hear it. I can hear you saying, but those small steps, they don't make a difference. They don't add up and it doesn't matter. And then I'm not actually making changes. Well, first off, regardless of whether you feel like the small steps are making progress, I want you to think about it as your momentum building, as your strength building, not about what the outcome is. You are taking those small steps to build the momentum and the strength so that you can take bigger steps. It always starts with a small step. You've got to crawl before you can walk. You've got to walk before you can run. That said, I am going to give you a couple of examples about how small steps do add up. And while there may be a step that you think is just so small, it's not going to have any impact on your life, hear me out. So let's do a couple of examples. The first one, let's talk about reading. That's a big goal that a lot of people have. A lot of people talk about reading goals and how they want to read more. Let's say you start really small with 5 minutes a day. You set a timer on your phone, and every morning before you get out of bed and start your day, you read for 5 minutes. And you feel like in 5 minutes is not going to add up to anything. Well, based on averages, now this is completely based on averages, average book length and average reading speed. You may be above or below average in one of those two categories, but if you're hitting the averages for those, that 5 minutes per day is going to come out to 5 books over the course of the year. Now, to somebody who reads 50, 100 books, that may not sound like very many. And so maybe this is not the example for you. But if right now you're reading 0 books, 5 books is a lot. That's a big impact. That's a big jump. Let's do another example. Let's talk about steps, which is another common goal people have. Let's say you set a goal to walk 4,000 steps per day. And again, to some people, when I was living in New York City and commuting to and from work every day, I could get 4,000 steps halfway to my office. But now that I work from home and especially in the winter when I'm not leaving the house as often, 4,000 steps is kind of my average day when I'm doing chores around the house and chasing my toddler around. So let's say you get 4,000 steps a day for the entire year. That is 28 marathons that you walked. 28 marathons, that's a lot. That's a lot of steps. Let's do another example of more of a less daily goal. Now, these are all going to be numerical examples because that's the best way for me to demonstrate this to you, but I really want you to take to heart that this applies to making progress on any goal. So let's say you have a project goal that you want to work on. And right now you say, I can't find the time. I don't have the time to work on this. I've been wanting to work on it, but I don't have time. What if you took just 30 minutes a week? One old school Friends episode with the commercials length of time per week, not per day, 30 minutes per week to work on a project. If you did that over the course of the entire year, and you missed a couple weeks here or there, you would spend an entire day, an entire 24-hour day on that project over the course of the entire year. Can you imagine if you had an entire 24-hour day to get a project done? Do you think you'd be able to get it done? 30 minutes per week for 1 year. Okay, last example, and this one takes a little bit more estimating and assumptions, but hear me out. Let's say you've been wanting to go through your closet, and if you're doing this whole example, probably like your spouse's and your kids' closets as well. And you decluttered 5 clothing items per week. So each week you went around your house and you took 5 clothing items and put them in a bag that you were going to donate. At the end of the year, you would have 8 large trash bags full. And again, I'm making a lot of assumptions based on the weight of clothes and etc. Obviously, if you did 5 socks a week, it's not going to take up 8 trash bags. But on the flip side, if you did 5 pairs of jeans every week, although that's a lot of jeans, it would be probably more than 8 trash bags. So 5 average clothing pieces, 8 trash bags full that you would be donating. That's a lot. Now again, some of these are really obvious numerical calculations. Can you tell that I'm a math major? But some of them are based on some assumptions. It works for every single goal. A little amount, whether it's a daily, a weekly, a monthly amount, doesn't sound like much. But once you add it up and you add it up and you do it over the course of an entire year, it adds up. So each of these videos is gonna add a little exercise for you to do. So I want you to grab a notebook, grab a piece of paper, and I want you to write down. Start with, what is your number 1 goal for the year? What's the number 1 goal that you are focusing on this year? Next line, I want you to write what is one small step that you can take towards that goal. Try to make it super small. Think 5 minutes, think one tiny thing that you can do towards that goal. And then I want you to multiply. And if you did that thing every day or every week for the entire year, what would it add up to? What would be the progress that you made? Maybe you're working on eating a little bit healthier. What if you ate one additional serving of vegetables every day over the course of the year? That's 365 servings of vegetables. I'm not even trying to like lump it better to sound more like marathons. That's a lot. That's a lot of vegetables. You could probably calculate it in terms of like bags of carrots. And that would blow my mind. Or let's say you want to grow your business. And let's say you focus on getting one additional sale per week. By the end of the year, take your average sale times 52. That's your additional income that you would get in the new year. What is that number? What would it add up to? What would a small step on your most important goal multiplied by the entire year add up to? Now, let's bring it back quickly to momentum. The purpose of this small step, I'm showing you that it adds up to something, but again, it's really just to kickstart that momentum, to get you going. Maybe halfway through the year, you've gone from 5 minutes of reading to 10 minutes per day of reading. And now that number is going to get even bigger. You're going to build that strength to build that momentum in order to keep going and make progress on your goals. So that is video number 1. I also am going to remind you at the end of each of these videos, if you still do not feel prepared for the new year and you still haven't set up your goals, come check out my goal setting workshops. I do these workshops every single year where I am supporting you through the entire process of getting your goals set up so that you're ready to go for the new year. The live sessions happened in December, so those have already happened, but it does not mean that you can't watch the replays and make sure that you are all ready to go for the year. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every week focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. Why did I say it like that? One more serving of vegetable. One more servings.